Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty huge.
Yeah.
How to reach that American dream, even if you maybe didn't go the usual route with school and all that.
And it's a really interesting topic because you don't need some degree to be super successful.
Right.
Lots of people have made it big. They kind of skipped that whole college step, forged their own paths.
Absolutely. And we've got a couple of really great guides for this deep dive.
We do.
We've got Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. That's all about thinking strategically in business.
Yeah, and master your mindset, which is, well, pretty self-explanatory. It's about getting that mindset right.
Exactly. We're talking practical stuff here.
Absolutely.
Actionable steps, whether you're just starting out or you feel kind of stuck. So let's kick things off by talking about unlocking your potential. I remember when I first heard about this whole growth mindset thing,
Oh, yeah.
I was totally stuck in that fixed mindset, thinking, okay, this is it. These are my abilities. Can't really change them. But then I realized I could actually grow and develop, and it totally changed everything for me.
That's the beauty of a growth mindset. It shifts your whole perspective. You go from feeling limited to seeing possibilities everywhere.
Yeah,
Challenges become opportunities,
totally.
Setbacks, those become fuel for learning.
It's all about how you look at things.
Exactly.
And there's this one mind-blowing idea from Master Your Mindset that really stuck with me. It's that our subconscious mind, it can't actually tell the difference between a real experience and something we've vividly imagined.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Right.
And that's why visualization is such a game changer.
Yeah.
If you can see yourself succeeding in your mind, like really see it, you start to believe it's possible.
Yeah.
And that belief, it can really push you forward.
It's like mental rehearsal for success.
Absolutely.
And New Mindset, New Results talks about something similar, that flow state.
Yeah.
Have you ever, been so absorbed in what you're doing that time just disappears?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
So that's flow.
Yeah.
And it happens when your skills and the challenge you're facing, they perfectly match up. It's peak performance.
It is.
And you can actually train yourself to get into that flow state more often
Ow.
by setting challenging goals and constantly pushing your skills further. So how can someone listening to this, how can they apply this to their own American dream?
It all starts with figuring out what your dream actually looks like. Get really specific. Like, what actual steps can you take to get there?
Okay. Yeah.
And once you have those steps, start visualizing yourself taking them. Experience that success in your mind every step of the way.
I love that. Create a mental movie of your success and play it on repeat until it becomes real.
Exactly.
Okay, let's jump into Patrick Bet-David's world now. I'm really into this thinking 5 moves ahead idea from his book.
He's all about strategy, isn't he? Anticipating those challenges and those opportunities before they pop up. He even compares business to, get this, chess.
Chess, that's a great analogy. But why 5 moves specifically? Why not 10 or 2?
5 seems to be that sweet spot. You're planning for the future, but you're not getting bogged down in all the tiny details.
Right.
It's like having a solid roadmap without getting lost in the weeds.
Makes sense. So for someone who maybe didn't go the traditional education route, what are some of Bet-David's principles that really jump out?
Bet-David is huge on finding your niche, that thing you're uniquely good at, your advantage. And a formal education, sure, it can be helpful, but it's not the only way to be an expert.
Totally. And he's also big on building an amazing team.
Absolutely.
Surrounding yourself with people who complement your strengths, even if you have to, give up a little control.
You can't do it all alone.
Right.
It's about realizing your own strengths and weaknesses and then finding people who fill those gaps.
So for everyone listening, challenge yourselves. What your first 5 moves toward that American dream?
Yeah, give it some thought.
And don't worry if they seem small right now. Just start thinking strategically. Where do you want to go, and how will you get there?
Every journey starts with a single step.
And even small steps can have a huge impact over time.
They do.
Speaking of challenges, let's talk about those mindset roadblocks that can really trip us up. Fear of failure is a big one. It holds us back from taking risks, from really going after what we want.
Fear is powerful, for sure. But shift your perspective. That book encourages us to see failure differently.
Yeah, how so?
Not as the end, but as a chance to learn.
Okay.
Mistakes become stepping stones. Setbacks become fuel for growth.
Yes, and the Mastery Manual had this great technique. Put a voice to your fears.
I love that one.
Right.
So simple, but so powerful.
It sounds simple, but it's amazing how much less scary things get when you actually say those fears out loud.
Or write them down.
Yeah. Or write them down.
It's like they lose their power.
Totally. So it's like by acknowledging them, you're bringing them out into the light. You can really look at them and figure out how to overcome them.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's get practical. We all know discipline is key, right?
Totally.
It's that bridge between where you are now and where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And self-discipline mindset really emphasize having a clear why.
Yeah, your motivation.
Right, the driving force.
Your fuel.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because when things get tough, you've got to have a reason to keep going.
Absolutely.
But how do you actually stay disciplined every single day, especially when it's tough? The Mastery Manual had some good advice, right?
It did. They're all about those small daily improvements.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Instead of trying to change everything at once, you focus on those little wins, the consistent actions that build momentum over time.
It's like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's consistency over intensity.
Yeah.
Create a daily routine that supports your goals and stick to it even when it's hard.
And that's where self-discipline really comes in.
It does.
Doing what needs to be done, even when you really, really don't feel like it.
Absolutely.
And remember those pattern interrupts from new mindset, new results.
Oh, yes. Those are so important.
Yeah.
It's about breaking those negative thought spirals, replacing them with something positive, something that empowers you.
Right. Can you give us a quick refresher on what a pattern interrupt is and how it actually works?
Sure. So it's basically a way to disrupt those automatic negative thoughts that just pop into your head, you know?
Yeah.
You're consciously changing your thought patterns. You're choosing to focus on something better, something more positive.
So, for example, if you're dwelling on a past mistake, you might shift your attention to a future goal
Exactly.
or do something physical to break that negative loop.
You got it. It's like hitting the reset button on your mind.
Exactly. And that's what we're seeing here, right? Success isn't about luck.
Not at all.
It's about consistent effort, making those smart choices, and having that self-discipline to stick with it, even when things get tough.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to our next point.
It's about realizing that you are in control. You get to shape your own future no matter what your past looks like, no matter where you are right now.
Okay, but here's where it gets kind of tricky. We talked about finding your niche, right? But for someone without that, traditional education, where do they even start?
Yeah.
It's easy to feel like everyone else is miles ahead.
One of the biggest things I took away from your next 5 moves is that real expertise doesn't always come from a classroom.
Right.
It comes from life, from the stuff you're
Yep.
passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
the skills you pick up outside of school. So what do you know? What can you do that's unique?
Can I bet David would say it's time to hustle?
Oh, absolutely. He's all about taking action, testing your ideas in the real world.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Hmm.
Try different things. See what sticks
Right?
until you find that thing that just clicks.
And once you've found it, you can build a business around it.
Exactly. It's all about finding a problem that people will pay to have solved, and then boom, you're the solution.
But what if you're not? Like the entrepreneur type? What if you're more of an employee kind of person?
Your next 5 moves actually talks about that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he calls it entrepreneurship. Basically, being an entrepreneur, but within a company.
Okay, so you can still have that drive, that need to create and innovate, even if you're working for someone else.
Exactly. It's all about finding a company that values your ideas and gives you the freedom to run with them. And you might be surprised how many companies actually want employees who think like entrepreneurs.
That's really encouraging. Okay, so we've covered finding your niche, building a team, and even this whole entrepreneurship thing. But we still need to dig a little deeper into that mindset piece.
Yeah, mindset. It's an ongoing journey. It's about constantly questioning those limiting beliefs and building habits that support your goals.
Self-discipline mindset was all about having that clear why, that powerful motivation that keeps you going. But how do you actually stay disciplined day after day when things get tough?
The Mastery Manual had some great advice on that.
Like what?
Well, they really emphasize the power of small daily improvements. Instead of trying to change everything overnight, just focus on those little wins, the consistent actions that build momentum over time.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. Consistency over intensity. Create a routine that supports your goals and stick to it even when it's hard.
And that's where that self-discipline comes in.
It does.
Doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it.
And remember those pattern interrupts we talked about earlier from new mindset, new results.
Right, yeah.
They're so valuable. It's all about interrupting those negative thought spirals and replacing them with something more positive, something that makes you feel empowered.
Can you give us another example of a pattern interrupt in action, just to make sure everyone really gets it?
Sure. Let's say you're feeling completely overwhelmed by a task. Instead of letting that feeling take over, try taking a few deep breaths, maybe listen to some music that puts you in a good mood, or even just go for a quick walk.
So it's about breaking that negative cycle.
Yeah, and shifting your energy.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes it can be as simple as changing your environment. If you're feeling stuck, try working in a different spot, or even just rearranging your workspace.
It's crazy how much our environment can affect our mindset.
It really is.
We've covered a lot here.
hmm
Finding your niche, building a team, entrepreneurship, self-discipline, and even the power of our environment.
Yeah, it might seem like a lot, but it all comes back to this. You have the power to achieve your American dream no matter where you're starting from, no matter what your background is.
You're not limited by your past.
Nope. Your future is yours to create.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the challenges that inevitably come with chasing the American dream. It's not always easy, right?
Your next 5 moves doesn't sugarcoat anything, that's for sure.
So what are some of the obstacles people might face on this journey?
David talks a lot about overcoming self-doubt and building resilience, and he also emphasizes the importance of having the right people around you.
Having a good support system.
Exactly. He talks about finding mentors who can offer guidance and advice.
And being careful about who you let into your inner circle.
Right. Not everyone is going to be supportive of your goals. Some people might even try to hold you back, intentionally or not.
That's why it's so important to have a clear vision of what you want and to surround yourself with people who believe in you, in your dream.
Absolutely. And remember what the Mastery Manual said about taking calculated risks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You won't achieve anything extraordinary by playing it safe all the time. But there's a difference between a smart risk and a reckless one.
So how do you know if a risk is worth taking?
That's where that 5 moves ahead thinking comes in. Before taking any big leap, really think about the potential outcomes, both good and bad.
Have a plan.
Right, a strategy for minimizing those risks. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes.
As long as you learn from them.
Exactly. They're unavoidable, but they don't have to define you.
All right, let's switch gears again and talk about something that's often overlooked, but is so important. Self-care.
It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, in the grind of chasing your goals, but neglecting your well-being can actually sabotage you in the end.
It's like running a marathon without any brakes or fuel.
The Mastery Manual is all about taking care of your physical needs.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some practical self-care tips for people who are super busy?
It can be as simple as making sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy food, and exercising regularly.
The basics.
Exactly. And self-care isn't selfish. It's an investment in your success.
It's about making sure you're taken care of so you can show up as your best self.
Absolutely. And self-care can also mean spending time in nature, listening to music, meditating, or doing hobbies that you enjoy.
It's finding ways to recharge.
Exactly.
So we've covered a ton. Mindset, finding your niche, building a team, entrepreneurship, self-discipline, taking risks, and even self-care.
It might seem like a lot, but it all boils down to this. You have the power to achieve your American dream no matter what.
No matter your background,
Exactly.
where you're starting from.
Your past doesn't define you. Your future is what you choose to make it.
Okay, let's zoom out for a sec. We've been talking about individual success, but how does all of this fit into the bigger picture of the American dream?
The American dream has always been about opportunity. It's the belief that anyone, no matter their background, can achieve success through hard work and determination.
It's about having the freedom to chase your goals, to create a better life for yourself and your family.
Exactly. And while the American dream might look different now than it did in the past, that core idea, that core belief is still the same.
But is it still possible? Is the American dream still achievable in today's world?
People have been asking that question forever, and there are definitely challenges. Well, we've got economic inequality, the rising cost of living, a job market that's constantly changing. Those are just a few.
But those challenges don't mean the American dream is dead.
No, not at all. It just means we need to be more adaptable, more resourceful, more resilient than ever before.
And that's where all the principles we've been talking about come in.
Exactly. Developing a growth mindset, finding your niche, building a solid team, taking those calculated risks, and prioritizing self-care, that's how you navigate today's world and achieve your version of the American dream.
So even though the path might be different for everyone, the underlying principles are still there.
They are. It's about having that vision, making a plan, taking action, and never ever giving up on your dreams.
So for everyone listening, what does your unique path to the American dream look like?
Yeah.
What can you do today to move closer to those goals?
Yeah, think about it.
It's not about overnight success.
Yep.
It's about those small, consistent efforts that build momentum over time.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
There are resources out there, mentors who can help guide you, and a whole community of people who are chasing their dreams too.
Believe in yourself, embrace the challenges, and keep moving forward.
Your American dream is waiting. You know what's really cool about this whole American dream thing? It's not about reaching some finish line.
No,
It's more about the journey,
the journey, yeah.
growing and evolving along the way.
It's about reaching your full potential,
Yeah.
as a person in your career, building a life that has meaning.
Yeah.
That's what
Great.
makes it so powerful, I think.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. Bet David talks about processing issues in your next 5 moves.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It seems super important, especially in business, where things can change so fast.
totally.
Can you break that down a little more? What does he mean by processing issues, and why is it so crucial?
Well, it's about being able to handle whatever comes your way,
Okay.
especially as an entrepreneur. Bet David's big on this idea that you're going to face challenges, like guaranteed. Setbacks, they're just part of the game.
Oh.
It's not about avoiding them. It's about knowing how to deal with them when they show up.
So you're not trying to be problem-free, you're trying to become like a master problem solver.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And he breaks this whole processing issues thing down into 5 key areas.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are those 5 areas?
Okay, so first, you got to understand your own strategies. How do you usually approach a problem? And can you change that approach if you need to?
Okay, that makes sense. What's next?
Next, staying calm when things get crazy. Don't let your emotions take over and make decisions for you.
Yeah, keeping your cool is key.
Absolutely. And number 3 is about avoiding extremes.
Okay.
Don't overreact to every little crisis, but don't ignore them either. See things clearly, figure out what's really going on, and then respond in the right way.
So no panicking, but also no burying your head in the sand.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, what about the last 2?
Number 4, this should sound familiar. Think 5 moves ahead.
Ah, yes.
Anticipate those future challenges and opportunities. And then the 5th one, and I think this is the most important, is taking ownership.
Okay.
Take responsibility for what you do and the results that come from it. You're the one in charge of your own destiny, even when things are tough.
It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your own life. So how can someone actually develop these processing skills? Any exercises or techniques that Bet David suggests?
Oh, yeah, he's got some good ones. He suggests doing something called collaborative debate.
Okay.
Basically, get a group of people you trust, like mentors or advisors, and talk through tough issues from different angles.
So brainstorming, getting different perspectives.
Exactly. And he's also big on studying past failures,
Interesting.
both your own and other people's failures.
Okay.
It's about learning from those mistakes and coming up with better strategies for the future.
Turning those mistakes into something positive.
Exactly. He believes in constantly learning and growing. And you know what's really cool about Bet David? His own story is a perfect example of how you don't need a fancy education to achieve incredible things.
Right. He's a self-made entrepreneur.
He is. Dropped out of college, worked his way up in finance, and then started his own companies. Proof that the American dream is still alive, even without that traditional degree.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring.
His message is all about taking control and creating the future you want.
Which really aligns with that whole American dream spirit.
It does. It's a powerful reminder that we all have that potential, no matter what our background is, no matter our circumstances.
Well, we've covered a ton in this deep dive. We look at strategies for reaching your American dream, using your next 5 moves, master your mindset, and all those other great resources. Mindset, strategy, resilience, self-care, the whole shebang. But this is just the beginning.
Right, it's a starting point.
What really resonated with you? What techniques or strategies are you going to try out in your own life?
Yeah, think about that.
And most importantly, what's one action you can take today to get closer to your American dream? Even a small step can make a difference. It's time to take what you've learned and build the future you want.